Hey, everybody. It's the Z Lord podcast.
There it is.
There's Carter. And here's Tessa.
There's Tez. All right.
So every day is different. You know, the drum speaks. The drum sometimes is flat. Sometimes it's really sparkly. Sometimes it sounds okay. And that's the way life is. We're all on different rhythms and different happenings. And boy, it's a magical mystery tour, isn't it, Carter?
There's a lot going on, that's for sure.
Yeah, life. Never a dull moment in life. So I've been thinking a lot about why not necessarily, I can't speak for you, but we could say we, but I want to talk about why do I have this desire to be a podcaster, to have, this communication, this line of sharing thoughts. And it's also part of the reason that we decided we were going to focus on desires, to kind of examine where our desires come from. And that's different than working with goals, because goals, we talk a lot about goals in our conversations.
Yes.
So, Carter, can you, I know,
desires is
wait a minute,
interesting.
I specifically want to know, how do you think a desire is different from a goal? Let's start with that, because we talk a lot about goals.
Well, desire is like an instinctual thing that is emotional, has an emotional, and it's almost like something that drives you, as opposed to a goal is something that you kind of work towards and think about, and you're trying to achieve something. But a desire is just something that is part of you, and that is something that is a want. And so it can be very easily confused. I mean, it can be addictive, and it can also be very tuned into the physical.
You mean it can be negative as well as positive?
Well, I think the desire is a real tricky thing, because first of all, it's something that you want. And there is a school of thought about desire that the desire, number one, it manifests itself in our physical bodies as opposed to our spiritual or even our mental bodies. It's like a desire for something, like a desire for a drink, or a desire for something to eat, or a sexual desire, or a desire to be somewhere, chocolate or something like that. So the question then becomes, in this group of thing I was reading the other day, is that if a desire can be attuned to what God wants as his desire, what God's
his
desire,
his
or her desire,
or it, his, her, or it,
then it's spiritualized, and then it's a good thing. But if it's selfish and it's used to promote your own self above other people, or if it's just wallowing around in some kind of a physical carnal thing, or an ego thing or carnal thing, then it can be really, really negative.
Okay, so that leads me to a really important question. How can we tell or discern whether a desire is really coming from deep within, like a God thing, a connection to our soul, or is it ego? I mean, really, it's tricky.
Well, I think it's like
tricky.
all these things that have to do with spiritual issues, and that is, are you aware of it, or are you just feeling it? If you're just feeling that you want a candy bar, you have a desire for a candy bar.
Which happens to you quite a bit.
Happens to me all the time. And so are you, and then you're driven to go get one. And then it's not necessarily good for you because it promotes cancer and it makes you fat and all kind of various other things. But it can be good too, as long as it's
balanced,
not something that you're
out.
driven to do, without thinking. If you've considered it, and it's gonna. I mean, that's a good question. How would a candy bar be good for you? How could you spiritualize
Let me just try
bar?
I hardly ever crave a candy bar. You are almost like a daily craver of candy bars. But if I crave a candy bar, I really stop and think, do I really need it? Do I really want it? how's it going to make me feel? You know, I ask myself all those questions, and 9 times out of 10, I don't get a candy bar. But, you know, that 1 time out of 10 where I'll say, yeah, I just really feel like having a candy bar, and I will. It's not like self-denial, like, oh, it's the evil candy bar. But I really have to look to see if it's going to make me feel good, because the immediate gratification of having a candy bar, of course, is dynamite. You know, sugar is euphoric.
But I think happiness...
Wait a minute, I didn't finish my thought.
Right.
But I know that if I have a candy bar, number one, it's going to make me feel like shit the next day, because sugar does that to me. I'm going to feel either depressed or it makes me feel negative. I have that reaction to sugar. So I always have to take it. It's just like a drink. You know, the same thing with alcohol. I mean, I'm in recovery for 40 years. I don't even think about drinking anymore, but okay, the chocolate and the candy and the cookies, you know. But in the old days, though, when I was first in recovery, you know, and you crave a drink, you have to think it out. You have to think it out. And so, okay, now, what did you want to do? I bet you forgot what you were going to say.
No, I don't.
No.
So it's legitimately in tune with, I think, spiritual issues or a godly issue is to have happiness. Because happiness, one of the things about being in tune with God and being on the now is that you feel really happy and you feel good. Mm-hmm. And so as long as it's not hurting anybody else, and as long as it's not just kind of selfishly gratifying some addiction.
I prefer the word contentment over happiness. Happiness sounds to me kind of silly, like Pollyannish.
Okay, well, contentment. Let's say that
sounds like neither this, neither that. You know, you're not really outrageously happy. You're not really sad. You're just kind of in the middle, like, you know, the Buddha, the middle way. That's what contentment is. But yes, that is what our soul wants for us, to have that experience of contentment, to be at one with all that is, which is the spiritual life. But does a candy bar give us that? Well, for each of us, we have to answer that upon each occasion, right?
And I'm trying to answer that question.
Did I interrupt you?
Yeah, you did. You did. So, but
I will keep my mouth quiet for 30 seconds.
That's okay. But anyway, I think you covered it in that it's a good thing to have contentment, and it's a good thing to have peace. And I think that God wants us to be at peace. And as long as we're not feeding some addiction, or we're not grabbing something from somebody else, or it's not really selfish, then it's fine to have a pleasurable experience and have something that makes us feel content. And I think that being content is a spiritual condition. And I know, for instance, one of the ways that I judge things, whether they're good for me or not, or judge situations as if, or if I'm close to God, as if I feel good.
Yeah,
and when I get
exactly.
close to God, I feel good.
Yeah.
And that's like, for a Missouri person, which is my people are from, that's a clue.
Oh.
You know, so
I thought you were a maniac.
Well, I'm a Maine person, but my mom is from Missouri, and the Missouri
Right.
people need to be shown something. And so I do better if something is finite and you can put your hands on it, rather than just being ethereal about it.
But a feeling, you feel it. You're not shown it so much.
You feel it, but you can feel it as a finite. You can put your hands on it. So if you feel good,
but you have to be aware to know your feelings. That's the great thing about it.
You have to be aware.
You have to be in tune with your feelings.
You have to be aware of your feelings, and you also have to be, because you're feeling good. You can feel good if you're pushing somebody around and you're beating them and winning.
Oh.
So you got to be careful about what you're feeling good about. You have to be aware of that too, that it's not selfish. And so much stuff runs. So much stuff is a choice between self and others.
Well, that's an
in this
interesting
life.
thing you brought up, because I know a lot of people really are addicted to either anger or fear or
lording it over somebody.
Being quarrelsome,
Beating somebody in something.
And so that though is a lack of awareness. That is definitely when people are still not yet awakened to the fact that, as you do, you receive. The golden rule. If you're going to be a bully to somebody, you're going to get it in the seat of the pants. Sooner or later, you are. That's just the law of the universe.
Yeah, but so the desire. Let's say you're playing a game, and your desire is to win, and your desire is to beat the other guy. Well, if your desire is to play the best that you can play, that's different than beating the other guy and so that you can lord it over him. And we all have this, and this is part of our growth. It's part of our It's
the selection of the species. It's Darwinian. That's how we evolved. Like whoever can get the food, the best is the ones who are going to survive. Is that what you're talking about? Whether it's a game of tennis or a game of life.
No, but you don't have to take it all. You can be good at killing the animal, but you can also share with the people that aren't as good at killing the animal too.
Exactly.
And that would be not lording it over somebody else. That would be using your skills to succeed and then sharing. And that would be the desire, in my view, and that's another thing. We have to think, what would God want in this? And so part of the exercise is, can we tune ourselves to God's will or not? And that's also part of it. That's part of this whole trip, is trying to plug in to God's desires and understand them. And the way we do that, I think, is experience and
self-reflection.
Being aware, self-reflection and prayer,
really
being in prayer, and being open to when you do something, does it make you really feel good, or does it just make you feel good that you've lorded it over somebody else? It's not that far away if you're unaware. If you're aware, you can see that. But if you're not aware and you just are glad to beat the crap out of somebody else, that's something we've got to come to grips with, each one of us, not just anybody.
I can't even relate to that. What I can share is something I can relate to. I can't relate to what you're talking about. But, I mean, you're a guy and you have a lot of testosterone and you're a competitive athlete since you were a kid. So, of course, you have that, kind of bloodthirst thing. You were a football player, for God's sake. So I never had that. I was the dancer and the poet and the swimmer, the person who does just solo things. And so what I can relate in this conversation is about my desire that I have had since I was a kid to create, to make either art or write, and to make a beautiful home, to make a beautiful meal, to create a beautiful garden, to have beauty, to have, an energy that's uplifted with...
And to share it with other people, as opposed to becoming Tesilor, the world-famous international artist.
Well, let me also just finish, but I've had to give it a lot of thought, because in my journey as a seeker, as a spiritual seeker, I've taken a lot of time to work with teachers, and teachers always point out that it's important for each one of us to be in tune with our soul's purpose, and to want to write books and create beautiful things. I never really thought of it as my soul's purpose until it was pointed out to me by teachers that, these are things that we should be contemplating. Are we making these beautiful things because we want to be rich and famous and, everybody in the world kowtow before you because you're a great artist? Or are you doing it because you want to contribute to the uplifting of the human condition, help our evolution? So when I was presented with these questions, I gave it a lot of thought, and I came out the other side saying, It's a real close to soul purpose by me wanting to create. It's not just me being silly. It's me fulfilling what my soul came here on
Your
this
desire,
earth to do.
your soul's desire.
Yeah,
and if your
it
soul's
is.
desire is to create something beautiful for other people to enjoy, that's one thing. But if your soul's desire is to become rich and famous, that's not so good. But
No.
that's kind of a young person's game. I think all artists and people we're all driven, and we're all imperfect, and we're all not driven exactly perfectly all the time, and we have to listen to me talking. But anyway, what the hell do I know? But let me just finish this thought that as we're younger, as we get older, we learn that fame and doing things and that these things are not,
And fortune, fame and fortune.
yeah, they're just not helpful, and then sometimes people become
Well,
anyway,
can
whatever. Everybody
baby,
knows
let me
this,
get a
but
word
it's
in.
something.
Wait.
Let me finish this. It's something that we all have to come to grips with, and I believe the older we get, the more we understand
Okay,
this.
thank you. May I speak now?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, I know you're really excited about that, but it's important for you to get it out. But what I wanted to say was, it's really the human need to be validated. Sometimes people are reaching for stardom or whatever you call it, fame and fortune or recognition, not just for their ego, but it's a validation. It's like an exchange of energy. Society is saying, yeah, we get you. We want you. And that's cool. And I think that that's important to have. But I never had it. And so I had to keep asking myself, what am I doing? Because I had so much rejection. And I had to contemplate about, what is rejection all about? And I'm at the point in my life where I have just accepted the fact that there must be some karmic thing going on in there that I'm not supposed to even know about. And I don't even question it anymore. I'm just along for the ride. But It hasn't stopped me from wanting to create. So here I am podcasting, and I'm the one who started Z-Lord. I'm the one who says, come on, Carter, let's do a podcast, because it's important to me to share, to communicate. And it's about the spiritual journey. It's not about, what I consider unimportant things or things that are covered by other people.
And at the end of the day, there is a great teacher who did say that one of the three great drives in life are survival, reproduction, and the third one was, amazingly, to be accepted by your peers.
Validation.
So there is a need. There's a need, a great need that is not necessarily recognized all the time, to be appreciated by your fellow peers. And that can be bastardized into becoming famous, but that's just like an aspect of becoming famous would be one way of being accepted and being validated by your peers. So it's not, like most things in life, it's not all bad. There's good and bad in all of these things, and there's only really the what really is in your ego. And if you can, because we do need to be validated, and you do need to, like I had made my movie, but every once in a while I'll get a beautiful note from somebody that says, oh God, I really loved your movie, my kids love it, it's great. And that's a big deal. It's nice. And it's important. And you have had the least amount of that from anybody that I know. So for some reason, you have been stripped of being validated by your peers, and for whatever reason, I don't know why. It's just the way it is in life. And I believe a lot of artists have that too. So that's part of you coming to grips with your life, and it's okay. But I think it is important to be validated, and so if the desire to make things, which you have in huge amount, even more than me, because You do a lot more art than I do. I have a desire to be to create things too, and I make these movies, but I spend a lot of time making them, and I spend a lot of time procrastinating and making them too. You don't procrastinate as much as that. You're in there swinging every single day. I take days off, weeks off at a time, and don't do anything except something else. But meanwhile, I have that in the back of my mind. But I'm
let's
not
stay on
driving
topic.
it every
Let's
day.
not get into our own stuff. Let's try to
But it's the
make it
desire
universal.
to make something. And
Yeah.
that's, if it's, as long as it's the desire to make something and to express yourself and give it to others, that's a great desire.
I'd like to just say something. Okay, in this current time in our society, there seems to be a lot of anxiety, a lot of mistrust, a lot of divisiveness, and we don't focus on that here when we talk, because one of the themes of our podcast for many years, once we stopped traveling so much, is to help to heal the divide, right? And to find the commonalities between all of us as human beings. And I really believe that we are all souls and that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. I just see that more and more as I get clearer and clearer about my own life and seeing how I operate in the world with everybody else. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to be able to concentrate on that. And so thinking about a desire in that respect is it's almost like a holy thing. It can become holy. You know, once we've gone through the process of being aware that there are some negative desires that we don't pay attention to. You know, like I used to have a negative desire of just being a bad girl. I mean, I really did. It was because of stuff that happened to me as a kid, and I had to work it out of my system, and it took a long time. It was only recently that I realized that it was when marijuana became legal, and I inside said, "Damn, I'm no longer a bandit." You know, like I'm no longer doing anything illegal because everybody's getting stoned now.
Now it's just a matter of whether you want to dumb yourself down or not.
Yeah, if you want to dumb yourself, just
Before it was
have some
being
marijuana.
a bandito, yeah.
But there's an aspect of me, my desire of wanting to be a bandit or a rogue or like a runaway. That was not a healthy desire, and it got me in a lot of hot water. And it probably is one of the reasons why I created all that karma of having to face rejection, because I put out a lot of negativity in my earlier years before I came into recovery. I did, and it's okay. That makes for an interesting story. It makes for interesting books. I mean, right now I'm getting ready to talk about the pre-spiritualization of my life in the book I'm working on, and it's kind of scary, for me. I mean, I feel all these, I don't know, almost like trepidation, like, wow, am I strong enough to go back there? I think I am. I don't think it's going to be emotionally like too much of a challenge. I think it'll be interesting and fun.
Yeah.
Fun. So let's talk about the word fun too. We talk a lot about, because Carter and I are in our 70s. Gosh, Carter's going to be 80 your next birthday. And so, every minute counts with life when you think of life as being precious and a gift. And we, years ago, made kind of a pledge to each other that we would not get involved with anything if we could have the choice, unless it was going to be fun. Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of our decision making is based upon that kind of commitment. I mean, we don't want to have such a challenge in our lives where it's going to be a struggle. I mean, we just as soon not do something if it's going to be too much of a struggle, right? And that has a lot to do with like a desire to come up and, okay, we have a bad neighbor, so we have a desire to have more peace in our life. Well, it's really not going to be fun to have to just move because we have a challenging neighbor situation. So we're trying to deal with it by love and compassion and prayers and, you know, letters in the mailbox like, you know, hello, can you like cooperate with that bad dog of yours, right?
Yeah.
So I think that once
It's working out pretty good too.
Yeah, I think that once people really have an awareness of what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to really be involved with all this angst and worry and, you know, opinions? Or do you want to just do what you have to do as a good citizen and vote when you're supposed to vote, but and then relax and just let it unfold, let the story unfold and watch and observe. And then when it comes around to another time of election, yeah, go out and do your bit and be responsible. Don't you think that that's where we're at least?
Yeah, I do, and I also think that the pendulum swings back and forth, and at the end of the day, our country does better if we are more balanced and not just have one side running it all the time. That as it goes back and forth, you know, and then the guy, whoever gets in power, makes a bunch of mistakes, and then the next group gets in, and then they make a bunch of mistakes. Right. And instead of screaming and yelling and pointing our fingers, maybe we can learn to be a little more kind and compassionate and understand that that the co-op, you know, the mixing together of the two different frames of mind ends up being
healthier,
the best way, the more middle way,
yeah.
And that everybody gets a little bit more of a fair shake if it's kind of down the road. I mean, I've noticed that when, you know, if you got too much one side, then it swings over. Instead of getting mad about it, it's just part of the reality.
And historically, it's always been this way. That's what America is all about, right? The swinging, the pendulum, and the vitriolic finger pointing has happened since day one, since they came up with the Declaration of Independence, right? It's just been that way in America, and that's what makes America so interesting. And I think it's going to be a very interesting time because
getting better all the time.
It's not only getting better, but I think because people are like really like so emotionally bent out of shape that those who are ready are going to want to spiritualize their life. And those who are not ready are just going to get more and more embroiled and, you know, have to take Prozac or whatever to get through the day. And there's more and more people who are understanding that the spiritual side of life is where you find happiness and contentment and fulfillment.
Yeah, well, who wants to be angry all the time and be mad and self-righteously demanding your way? It's like being a little child.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody, you know, I don't know everything. I have my opinion, but Joe Blow's got his opinion too. What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't have to hate them or be angry and call them a bunch of names, and it's not helping any of us. So the less we can do that, the better off everybody's going to be. And again, you can judge that at the end of the day by when you're screaming and yelling and hating somebody, are you happy? And the answer is no. So the more you're forgiving and kind, which is one of the tenets of all religions, is to be forgiving and kind to other people, then the better you feel. Yeah. So that's a clue.
The golden rule is really where it's at. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
A lot of times you can judge on whether you're right or wrong by how you feel about it. If you're pissed off and angry and hating somebody, you're probably in the wrong.
But the key is do people take time and energy to tune into how they feel? A lot of people don't. So they're not ready for it yet. So hopefully that's why I want to continue podcasting. I want to help people to get in tune with their feelings, because feelings are the signpost of our spirituality. It's like a little thermometer saying we need more of this or we need less of that. You know, once we tune into our feelings.
We need to do the same damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Our own self.
That's why we're doing it. Carter, I'm not saying that I don't. I'm saying that we do. And
Always.
So by us having conversations about it, we're helping other people
Helping other people, and we're also helping ourselves to understand it better. Because if I voice it, and then I understand it better.
Yeah, man.
I do better if I'm trying to. I just do better by talking things out. I understand myself better, and that's really at the end of the day, what you really want to do is understand yourself.
So what
I
about
want to understand myself.
After talking a few minutes here, so what about that candy bar?
Well, it's not a very good time of day to be having a candy bar, so I'm going to pass for now.
You're not going to think about it. But the next time you want to have the candy bar.
Well, hopefully I'll think about whether, when was the last time I had one, and can my little sugar balance handle it without it making me either too tired or having a negative influence, or can it be just a positive, nice little thing?
Well, there's also the extra added thing. I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but, you have had a history of cancer. And I think anybody who is in the battle with cancer, because it is a little war going on in your body, you have to be aware.
Sugar is not a good thing for
You have to be
cancer,
aware of
sure.
sugar. Sugar activates cancer cells. It feeds cancer cells. So there's that. It's not just
And yet I
rush.
had that test the other day at the doctor, and he said, "Oh, you need to have more
More
glucose." And I said, "You're my kind of doctor."
Oh, God.
It's the first time I'd ever heard that from a doctor.
We get all sorts of mixed messages, don't we? One school says, go have butter, and the other school says, no, you must have olive oil. Well, who knows? We all just do our best. We try to be aware and be happy and content. And so thanks, everybody, for listening, and I wish you a blessed, blessed moment.
All right.
And if anybody
time.
has not told you recently, I do love you. Carter laughs.
Does it?
I do. I feel love for everybody, and I think it's nice
That's
to
good.
express
All
it.
right, that's good. Way to go.
Okay, so
See you later.
Om Namah Shivaya, and stay focused on the things that bring contentment to your heart.